All right, what's going on, everyone? Today's a really exciting day because we've got a brisket in front of me. That's one thing. The second thing is that we're going to do two things with this brisket. One is we're going to separate the flat from the point on this brisket. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to use half the brisket, the point, to make some burgers, and then the other half, the flat, to actually smoke it. That's reason number two. Reason number three is because I've got the new XXL Pro fired up. This is going to be its first cook, so I'm pretty excited. Not sure what to expect with it, but let's go ahead and get started with trimming this up. All right, so per usual, this is a USDA choice brisket from Costco. I'm going to slice in here closer to the point end, only because I don't care to get any gouges in it, because it is going to be ground up for ground beef. So this brisket's not too big. It's about a little over 12 and a half pounds. I think what I'm going to do to get started is just try to find the separation between these two muscles. And so we'll go ahead and just trim some of the usual things off of these. There's a big old pocket of fat right here that we want to take off. And right underneath that pocket of fat there is kind of where this separation occurs as well. Right in this general area here. Flip this over. Right in this general area here is where that point separates from the flat. So I'm just going to do a cut here and see how we're looking. All right, so really quick with this too, full disclosure, this is the first time that I'm separating a flat from the point. So just some kind of basic ground rules here. You can see how you've got the muscle strands kind of all going this way. This is, again, the flat portion of it. Whereas here you've got the muscle strands kind of mixed up, but you have them kind of more going this way as well. So you want to separate those two pieces. I'm going to go ahead and trim some of this off here as well, which we normally would on any other brisket, just so that I can get a better look and see what it is that I'm separating. But the general idea, it's my understanding, is the pieces merge together in this general area here. And so definitely not the cleanest cut, and we're going to have to do some more practice as well, because as you can see, this looks like it's still part of the point here as well. So we'll probably clean that up a little bit, but that's the general idea. I mean, that's really all you're doing when you're separating the point from a flat. Normally as well, when you're cooking an entire brisket like this, you would then want to trim this. I might lightly trim this here just because there is some really thin ends, but for the most part, this is now going to be one uniform piece after we trim it up a little bit better. So what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and get this point part put into a bag so that I can toss it right back into the fridge, and then we'll continue working on the flat. All right, so now while that's out of the way, we go ahead and clean this up like you would any other brisket. And that is getting some of this silver skin, some of this hanging fat off of the lean side of it. So I'm taking this off because this is a really thin piece. This is definitely part of the flat, but that's just going to burn up well before the rest of this all cooks down. So while I'm doing some trimming, this piece here, again, really flat too. So we're going to get this taken off. And again, I mean, that'll just make for some really ground beef as well. Clean up the entire edge. So we are going to get in here and take this entire side off. One quick note too, the knife that you're using, make sure that it is very sharp. Mine's getting to that point where it needs to be sharpened. So there's plenty of ways you can do that, plenty of tools to make it easy. But make sure you're always just using a sharp, good knife. One of these boning knives is the best way to go. So as you can see, obviously I'm working with two piles here. This is the pile that's got all the silver skin. The other pile here is what I'm still willing to use for ground beef. So just want to keep those separated because even this silver skin doesn't go well in ground beef. So just toss that stuff out. It's not going to make for good ground beef either. So same thing here. You can kind of just see this is a little bit thinner here. So I'm just going to lift that up and take a slice out. So just do your best to get all this silver skin out. I mean, a brisket smokes for so long that for the most part, you won't notice this, but it's better safe than sorry. I mean, hell, some people don't trim a brisket at all. They put it on exactly how it comes from the package, and they don't complain about it. So this really is all just kind of extra, but it makes me feel better doing it. All right, so that lean end is looking pretty good. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Let's get it over to the fatty end. And the fatty end, so you want to leave about 1/4 inch of fat on these. So it's got some trimming to do on the other side closer to me. This side here, though, looks pretty good. Pretty bald spot right here, so I'm not going to do any touching near that. But this side right here, as you can see, has a thicker layer, so we will trim that down there. So that's a sign of my knife definitely getting dull. It's having a hard time with getting in there to cut this fat down. And of course there, made a little bald spot, but no worries, not concerned about it. Just definitely got to sharpen this knife after this brisket. And then just look for things like this, kind of stuff that's sticking up. Again, just like you would a normal brisket. I'm going to square this edge off, square this off. So you can see here, this top end still, again, kind of looks like it's part of the point itself, but underneath, this is very clearly flat. So there's probably a better way to get this separated, but at the end of the day, this is looking pretty decent. And for a first time, I'm not going to complain. I think it is going to do just fine. So you'll see here, this fat kind of dips down. Really not much you can do about this pocket here other than just gouging it out, which I don't want to do. So at the end of the day, I think this is going to do just fine. So same thing here. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and get this all put together into the fridge and start seasoning. All right, so here's what we're doing for the seasoning on this. We're going to start with the mustard binder, and this is because I want this seasoning to stick. We're doing something a little bit different than I normally do. Normally, I just use salt, pepper, and garlic powder, but today I'm going to kick it up a notch, and I'm going to use some of this right here, Kinders Woodfired Garlic, along with just some coarse black pepper for that really good peppery taste, and to hopefully build some bark. So super easy. The reason why I'm using the binder is because normally I'll let this sit around for a little bit before putting it on the smoker. But we are pressed for time today. So what I'm going to do is throw it right on as soon as this is seasoned. And so I've got the smoker set to a temperature of 250. I'm running Bear Mountain oak pellets along with some post oak chunks that are going to go in that famous Camp Chef smoke box. And this is a really nice piece of flat, so super happy with how that came out. All right, we're going to start with the black pepper. And I'm not going to add any additional salt, only because I tasted that Kinders, and it seems like it's already got a pretty good salt content. And along with, I'm not going to add any garlic powder, only because it's a wood-fired garlic seasoning. So therefore, I don't think it's necessary. Just remember, get a good even coverage and get the sides. I'll tell you what, this Kinder smells really good. It's got a hint of sweet to it. So I've never put a really sweet flavor onto a brisket. So we'll see how that turns out. Now, according to the ingredients, it doesn't have any sugar in it. So I'm not sure what that smell profile is coming from. But either way, it smells good. All right, we got our first side all covered. Let's get to that second side. All right, so now that we've got that all covered in seasoning, we're gonna go ahead and get outside with this, toss it on the smoker, and see how long this thing takes to go. Well, like I said, be running it at about 250 degrees. So I'm guessing 8 to 9 hours, but we'll definitely see how long it goes. All right, so like I said, now what we've got is the smoker set to a temperature of 250. It is reading that it's at 250 degrees. I do have some post oak chunks in here with the butterfly valve open wide right now to get these caught on fire so that they can start smoking. And then to my understanding is you want to go ahead and close that damper down or that valve down once you've got them caught. All right, now that I've got the temperature probes gone through, go ahead and pop this open. And so far right now, the setup that I have and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this brisket right on this middle rack just to kind of get an idea of how that is going to cook right in the center. So easy enough. Pull that out. Go ahead and slide it in. And I am going to go ahead and probe this with both of these probes because I am curious how the two sides will go. And then we go ahead and just close that up. And then we're just going to keep an eye on the smoke box itself just to see if those catch fire. And so again, just to give you all an idea here, as you can see, the wood chunks in there are already lit up. They are starting to smoke. And this is the game changer part of these Camp Chef smokers with this smoke box, because this is going to give you that authentic real wood flavor that pellet grills are missing. So I'm super excited to check out what that's going to be like in the end. Again, we're set to 250, smoke level 7, sitting at 235 degrees right now, and the brisket at about 44, 46. So we'll check on this in a few hours, see what it's looking like. And then same thing like with the regular brisket, we'll go ahead and wrap it up to get it to the finish line. All right, so now that these have really started to burn up good, we're gonna go ahead and close this damper to about, I don't know, I'd call that about halfway. That way there's not as much fire getting in there and burning them out too quickly. And hopefully they just continue to smolder like this with some nice smoke being produced. All right, so we are sitting at 4.5 hours in. The probes are reading 167 and 159 each, so we are probably getting pretty close to being set with the bark. So we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what it looks like. And I would say that that's looking pretty good at this point. So we are going to take this out. Today we are going to be using the foil bolt method. So I do have some foil ready over there to go. I'm going to go ahead and take this brisket out and then show you how we wrap it up in a foil boat. All right, all. So the foil boat method is obviously pretty self-explanatory. You're making a boat out of the foil for the brisket to stay in. So just going to take this aluminum foil and fold it in like so, keeping the top of the brisket exposed. This is almost going to create like a braising effect. However, you're still going to be able to get some more that smoky flavor on the top of the brisket itself. So this is essentially ready. I'm going to go ahead and just pop this right back in on the smoker. And we haven't changed the temperature at all. The temperature's been sitting at 250. I've just been adding those post oak chunks in. 3 times is what I did that actually, that I added those in. And, you know, I mean, this is honestly night and day compared to what I normally get out of my regular pellet smoker. So far this upgrade has been pretty awesome. All right, all. So for some reference here, it is 8 p.m. This went on at 9:30 in the morning here. So just under 12 hours there, of course, and it's looking fantastic. And this is a great reason why they say you do not want to go off of the temperature. See, we're probing there at 195, but it is like butter. So there's no reason to push this, you know, of course, to the 200, 203 mark, like they say. You want to make sure that this is just probe tender. And as you can see, I mean, it's looking fantastic there. probing nice and tender. So we are going to go ahead and take this off. We're going to go ahead and get it sliced up and see how it came out on this new XXL Pro. All right, so we've got some amazing weather out here, so I'm going to do this outside today. I'm going to go ahead and unwrap this, and as you can see, a lot of fat, a lot of juices that remained in this pan here that I'm going to attempt to salvage. Shrunk a lot in size, nice and crispy crust. That came out fantastic. I mean, you really can't complain about that. All right, and so of course we got to go ahead and pour over this fat and juices all over the brisket, because that's nothing but flavor. So definitely get that on there. And then of course, get a whole bunch of spillage here. You go ahead and slice this. Realistically, you can go from anywhere. Let's start from this end right here. And that looks pretty good, I would say. Let's get a nice end piece off and give that a shot. That is super tender. That's a lot of good flavor right there. The camera woman wanted a slice, so got to give her a slice of that. Those are some delicious burnt ends, I got to say. You can just see how nice and tender these cuts are. Let's go ahead and get a slice right out of the middle. And just take a look at that. I mean, honestly, that's exactly what you're looking for. So like I said, these were pulled. They were at about 195 degrees. So well below what they say. And I mean, the results there speak for themselves. I mean, that's absolutely just delicious and tender. Yeah, I mean, what more can I say? Honestly, that came out absolutely delicious. The smoky flavor in there, it's off the charts. Which again, the XXL Pro, that's exactly what we're going for with that added smoke flavor. Super excited about this thing, and honestly, excited to do a whole lot more things with it. So, if you guys are XXL Pro owners, or if you are in the market for it, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos, obviously, with this itself. So we'll see how other things turn out. We will definitely be messing with some of the settings, as well as different configurations on the smoke settings and what kind of wood we're using. So stay tuned. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of this. Obviously, this is fantastic. It's time to go feed some people with it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.